There we go. So this is a BANA, a Boyd Acres Neighborhood Association meeting on 9/22/2022. And we have a number of people participating. We had someone come and ask us, left a message in the BANA email about a political candidate wanted to come speak to us. And I thought that this meeting wasn't the best, but I thought I should come to the board about something like that. I don't really want to turn our neighborhood association into a political arena.
Yeah,
I want to open to everybody, but I don't, we could just end up being overwhelmed.
Yeah, I talked to some of that when I was at the land use chair meeting, and they had approached a few of the other neighborhoods too. And a lot of them in their bylaws have that they can't have a political candidate speak because can be biased if you just have one. So I don't know. I didn't know that before I thought it would be a good idea, but it does make sense. And I mean, we are going to have all the candidate forums, so maybe it's just better.
Right. So there we are. I think through Joette, I'm going to put some money in, but we should vote on that also. As for funding any of those, see, there I go, losing a word. Those forums, candidate forums, since you charge 2 neighborhoods for the rental of Larkspur.
Well, we're up to, if you vote, we'll have 12 NAs that want to participate, which means it'll cost you about $26 a piece.
Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. So I think that's fine. I thought you had an issue with the city and the Parks Department having to exchange money for 12 neighborhoods. Well, I don't know that it matters. We can discuss that details later.
Does the divvying up. So Parks doesn't have to do anything. They'll bill her and she'll make the split up the money. So it's okay. It's not too. And the only one that wanted to go was Southern Crossing.
So I suppose we should have introductions. Since I sort of set this meeting up, and the link actually worked, because for a while it was looking like it wasn't going to work. I was like, what did I do to mess this up? But I'm Kathy Roach, and I'm currently the BANA chair. I kind of want to give it away to somebody, but I kind of want that to be somebody who is going to take on all the record keeping and take on all the stuff I have in my garage, a number of signs and a couple of boxes of paper kind of stuff, things that go with the annual meeting. So at any rate, if we ever have anybody comes forth and says they want to be the chair, we can interview them. We can see if that's where we want to go. And I guess when we get to plans for the future, we can decide how active we want to be and how that fits in with my life. I don't really want to just dump it and run. So at any rate, let's go on to Ashley next for introductions.
Yeah, Ashley Bevo. I am the BANA Land Use Chair, and I have been for about the past, well, I guess I kind of had a soft halfway start, but close to the past year, January-ish, around there. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, Barb, how about you go next?
Hi, everybody. I'm Barb Campbell. I serve on the Bend City Council, and I've been liaison for Boyd Acres. Seems like it's been quite a few years now.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 years, maybe 4 years. Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Okay, Cody, next.
Hi, I'm Cody Campbell. Been living in the neighborhood for a couple of years now, and I'm the NLA rep.
So I think you just went to your first NLA meeting, and we'll do some report outs here in just a bit. Diane, want to introduce yourself? And I don't think you have a position yet, so.
Yes, I'm Diane Ozer. When there was a request or, for people that might be interested in helping out, I put my name in. We live here about 6-7 months of the year and then go back to Florida. I'm a retired Oregon attorney, although I'm still an active member of the bar. I don't practice. I felt like there might be something I could do when I'm here. But we do, we're sort of, I guess, half-time Oregon, half-time Florida. But I'm happy to help out in any way, at least, from May to October.
So we do have several positions in our bylaws. They're not described as at-large positions, but that's sort of where I would put you if you don't find that offensive to be considered an at-large board member.
Not at all. Not at all.
And you can advise us if we start getting off into areas where the legality of what we're doing is, we're not on solid footing, maybe, let us say. We haven't gotten there yet, so something I could have you do, though, is look through our bylaws and help us clean them up, because they have some stuff that needs straightening, looking at. They're modeled on other bylaws that the city has accepted at times, and for other neighborhoods. They're a bit, though, adapted to just Boyd Acres. And so I think they're legally sufficient because the city has its attorney look at all of them, I believe. I've heard that when I was on the NLA.
I'm happy to help. I'll be happy to help.
Yeah, it has some spelling errors and other things that I think need fixing, but at any rate, Adam's not here tonight. He's our new treasurer. He agreed to do that job. And so far we've had 2 expenditures. One of them was before he volunteered to do that job. Oh, 2 people are in the waiting room. Let's see if they're anybody we're expecting. Counselor Perkins and somebody on an iPhone. Hello and welcome. This is the Boyd Acres neighborhood meeting. If that's not what you thought you were joining, maybe you need to check your Zoom link.
Oh, hi, this is Megan Perkins. I'm not sure why it just says iPhone for me, mysteriously.
Well, then she's up there twice.
Because I have you down with a CP on, and then I also have an iPhone link. Well, if you are not joining with video, that's fine. If you do want to join with video, maybe you need to hang up and start all over again. Just want to remind you that we are recording this. That's somewhat because we don't have a secretary, and it completes the requirement to take notes at a meeting. So I guess another Rogers, no, what's the order rules that we follow anyway? Robert's Rules of Order, something like that. So I found it difficult when I took over the chair from being the secretary. I found it difficult to both run the meeting and take the notes. And so I've been saying, well, the recording will substitute in as notes, or we can go back and capture notes from the recording if we need to.
There you go.
So we have somebody here who's Jennifer resident. Jennifer, can we turn on your video and see you?
Hi, sorry, I guess I'm not on mute. I'm actually getting my kid to bed, but I am listening in.
Okay, that's fine. We're glad to have you because we don't want to have an overwhelming number of people on our board, but we are short a few positions, and we always welcome regular resident members of Boyd Acres neighborhood to observe or join in the board meetings. So going back to Adam and the treasurer position, before Adam took on the treasurer position, I submitted a request for to be reimbursed for our Zoom account. So hence I renewed that. And so we are here tonight because I renewed that and the city paid for it. And then I just recently renewed the post office box as a chair. I renewed the post office box rental. And that was kind of a mess because it turns out that the post office has an online ability to renew post offices, but with a box rental, it has to be to a person, and they won't allow you to change it online. I guess that must be some kind of security thing. So ours is currently registered to Larry Kiroff, who is 3 chairs ago, I think. He was before Joette.
Mhm.
Joette was before Cindy. Cindy was before me. So I will probably have to write up a letter on letterhead that says Larry Kiroff is no longer active in this organization and submit it to the post office. But I will probably wait until we have somebody else to officially step up to be chair, because it's an onerous process and you don't want to be doing that every 6 months or something when you can renew your post office box once a year. So right now it's renewed until next year at this time. PO Box 8151, I believe. So that we get a lot of land use announcements at that box, and we get a few other things. We got an announcement from a gas company wanting to remind us all to not go out and dig up get one of their gas lines. We can put that in a newsletter at some point. Joette, it's just a reminder, call before digging. Can't read, it's an 88, I think it's an 888 number. They'll charge you otherwise, millions of dollars probably, or maybe your insurance will, and then they'll jump you. So why don't we hear a little bit from Joette about what all she does for BANA, and we regard her as our communications chair, but she doesn't really want to be on the board anymore. She doesn't want to attend all of the meetings, I guess. But we'll let you talk, Joette.
All right. Well, my name is Joette Storm. I joined BANA in 2014 when we moved here, and Larry had been president, holding it together for some time. I served as president after that, and then have been doing I maintained the website, put the newsletter together, and then I send out these welcome cards, which we get. One of the realtors in town sends me the closures, and I then can send this out. I usually wait about a month and send the welcome to Boyd Acres card to the new owners, residents, so they at least, have some sense. And I'll do that until we run out of the cards, which is, I think, I'm not sure how many we have left. And so that means that I have to buy stamps and occasionally get reimbursed for that. I'm happy to do the newsletter and the website for a little while longer until someone else steps up. So we still have to do a lot of recruiting. I think there would probably be folks who are better equipped to do the website than I. If we could talk the couple in to doing it that are graphics people. One of them has I think his name is Chris, has a graphics business. Might be nice to do that. And somebody could do the newsletter. But until that happens, until you get more folks on the board, I'll continue to do it to make sure that we get, the news around. Any questions?
You also serve a little bit as one of our historians. I think on our roster, it actually says Larry Kiroff is our historian, but you also have a lot of memory as to how we've done things in the past and how stuff's worked. So Cody, I think you have a report out from the NLA meeting.
Yeah, so we met 9/13, voted on a new chair, Morgan Schmidt. Mostly what we talked about there were short-term rentals that ate up a lot of our time. It was pertaining to the code. They were increasing the boundary from 250 feet to 500 feet. And we briefly touched on the unsanctioned camping code, which was yesterday, I believe. Yeah, they talked about it, the city council. So I'm just trying to, keep abreast of the situation and fit in where I can, take good notes.
Okay. Yeah, they have rather a long running history of what they're going to talk, what they did talk about, what they're going to talk about, what's going to come up later. I guess the map maybe would be how I would describe it. It's not easy jump into the water. It's more of a jump into the river and swim for your life kind of thing, I think.
Yeah. Well, there's a few new people on the NLA as well. So I mean, it's good. There's a group of us that are all trying to learn the ropes together there.
Yeah, and there's some fairly specific language to that group or that the city uses, and you have to know what they're talking about. It might not be regular, might not translate directly into regular English. So, well, good. I think in Boyd Acres have, except for Hunnell Road, we have minimal unsanctioned camping compared to other neighborhoods. I mean, some neighborhoods are hit pretty hard. And of course, if you live near Hunnell Road, you might also feel that way, but I see a few RVs parked here and there. There's a spot on the road right by the post office where as soon as they move one old RV out or tent, there's another one that will move in. There's a few other places I see unsanctioned camping, but it's I think the Old Bend neighborhood and probably has it the worst. Maybe some other ones. I don't know exactly where it transitions into Orchard. I think Orchard might have it bad in a few places.
I was pretty curious on our concentration rates on short-term rentals, like Airbnb type things like that. Just so I could, have a little bit more information on how our neighborhood copes with that issue.
I can tell you, I can probably find the link for you, but a few months ago, the city staff put together a presentation for the city council, and it had every short-term rental broken down by neighborhood to tell us how many we have. So we can definitely find that so you can see it. And I did look through briefly today, and I mean, our applications have definitely slowed way down. I mean, I didn't see any in August. There was only like 2 in July. So it doesn't seem like we've been getting a ton lately.
I have a question for you, Ashley, because when I post them to the website, I've been posting all of them, and it seems like there was an increase in people building houses and getting the permit before the house is even built. So I don't know if that means that that seems to me more like a commercial use than a residential. But with this change that you get the permit and you only have to rent it out 1 day a year, that.
That's already part of what they do. They're actually, what they're talking about, what we can watch Barb talk about in a couple weeks, is that they're actually talking about doing an exemption where you don't have to do that for 3 years. So you're able to rent long-term without having the 1 day short-term rental for the year and still maintain your short-term rental permit. But yeah, with the bill, I mean, I don't think there's anything that says you can't, as long as it's residentially zoned, it would be by the same requirements as everything else, whether it's new construction or not.
So I also send out an email to many of you, hopefully most of you, that said that noted that one of my neighbors has applied for, not right next door, up half a block, has applied for a 1 day a year short-term rental. And it appears that this person is doing it to exclude other people for 500 feet around him from her getting a permit to do a short-term rental.
That is not the first I've heard of that.
And so, I mean, I can see that how somebody would want to do that. Maybe they don't want to live next door to a short-term rental. They could be noisy. I'm not saying they always are. They could be. Do you want to wake up every morning not knowing who your neighbors are? That would make some people very anxious. So but I don't think it meets any of the city of Bend's needs to, but I don't know how you exclude it. So, and now that it seems like what I've heard is the housing market is changing dramatically here in the last couple of weeks. That we had, the prices have fallen and there's much less interest and there's less turnover or something. Maybe Ashley, as a realtor, you would know that.
Yeah, I was actually just looking at the numbers from yesterday. I wouldn't say it's like extreme, but it's definitely cooled off. Our inventory is up to 2.5 months, which is still, we're still in a seller's market. We still have really low supply and we still have like hardly any new listings, so even less. But demand has dropped off too. So you're not having that same competitive craziness that we've been having the past couple of years,
Right.
which I think is great.
For a while, it was put a house on the market and it might sell the same day or the next day.
I mean, now you're seeing them say, I mean, the average days on market now is 26 days. So, you know, some are more, some are less, of course, but it's definitely cooled way down. You can actually think about it for half a second and decide if you actually like the house before you just have to offer on it. So yeah, we'll see if it keeps changing.
So let's see what else I have here in my fairly informal notes. Brittany has stepped up to do the business liaison position, which will be nice to have somebody that we can have conversations with businesses and everybody kind of will get the same story. We haven't had much going on in that way right now. We might have soon. We've talked a little bit about the city camping code. I think there's hearings coming up on that still. Okay, Ashley's nodding yes. We have candidate forums coming up soon, October, I imagine, because of the elections in November. So you should, and then I noticed KTVZ is having some also, a race at a time, sort of. I think tonight they're having the 3 gubernatorial candidates debating. Ashley had spoken up and said she'd like to become our NART representative. So are there any objections to that? That will keep you busy, Ashley, having 2 jobs.
Busier. Yeah.
So if nobody has any objections, we'll just, can we vote Ashley in? I moved to Ashley becomes our NART representative. And we'll consider that a done deal then. We should set some goals or gather some ideas on what we would like to be doing in the next year, how often we want to meet, what areas we might want to focus in, whether anybody has any ideas for speakers or not. I mean, sometimes speakers just come to me and it's something that's of public interest. And, you know, I set them up with whatever our next meeting is. I haven't had anybody do that in a while, except for this political candidate. We can set up a number of these things. We can have things that we've had in the past. We've had the police come, we've had fire come. We've had somebody do evacuation stuff where they teach you about what should be in your go bag. I'm thinking that maybe that's everybody's relaxing a little bit from the fire up on the hill, and probably because we've had some rains and stuff, that the interest in that might be reduced. Maybe in the springtime, April, you know, before it gets hot again, might be a good time to do that. Maybe we could get somebody who could do it, help us think about it for pets. Because that's, you know, I mean, just evacuating people is one thing, evacuating pets is another level of complexity. Maybe somebody could speak to evacuating children, what maybe to have a box of games in the car or something, I don't know. I'm so glad in all my years of living out in the forest that I never had to evacuate my family or my pets. It was pretty close sometimes. So we've covered everything that I have in my informal notes here, sort of my agenda. And I'm just going to open it up and see if anybody else has anything to say. Counselor Perkins, do you want to say anything to the group? We didn't really let you in on the round robin or the introduction part. And we could let Jennifer speak if she so wants to.
No, I don't think I have anything to add. Yeah, just as far as the camping code goes, we're going to be having 2 roundtables next week, and then we'll sort of be talking about the results of those roundtables and what we heard at our council meeting on October 5th. And we'll also be getting to short-term rentals on October 5th as well. So those are sort of the 2 big things that are coming up.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. And we will try to get information out to everyone through both our newsletter and our Facebook page and our Nextdoor page.
I can add a couple things of what's going on with land use.
Okay.
The biggest things, like everyone said, pretty much is the short-term rental situation and the possible changes. The Planning Commission did vote to recommend to the City Council to pass the new changes. And then, yeah, they're going to discuss it on October 5th and 19th. The 97 North Corridor project is starting this fall and is anticipated to go through the end of 2024 until it's completed. We do have the Thomas property zone change, which I'm not entirely sure what they're asking for, but we're going to have a meeting for it on October 17th at 5:30. So I'm sure they'll tell us about that then. And then
do you know where that is? Thomas
It's-
Properties?
Yeah, I can look at what the address was. I think it was on Cooley.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And then the Costco project, which is being discussed by the Planning Commission on October 10th. I think it's October 10th. Obviously, that's a huge project out there with new Costco and a 500-unit multi-unit building for multifamily apartments. So we'll get to hear all about that soon too. And yeah, other than that, I actually was wondering if we maybe should try to do anything for like fall, any kind of little, I was thinking maybe like we could have like a pumpkin painting day or something like that. I was thinking pumpkin carving, but that tends to take a really long time. So I'm like, maybe we could just have like the little ones and like let people paint them or something like that. That's all I have.
Okay, so we can think about that. We need someplace to do that. You know,
Yeah.
whether-
I was, yeah, probably just at like a park. I don't know that we would need a pavilion. So I guess I mean, I don't know what the requirements are for if you have to reserve it. Is that only if you're using the pavilion?
Yeah, I don't know for sure either. If you just wanted to use a couple of the tables at what's the one at that where we had our meeting, our annual meeting? I can't remember the name of that.
Rock Ridge.
Yeah, Rock Ridge. Or we could maybe do it at Boyd Park, the little park that's
Have
on.
you had any notice that the new North Point Park is open for business?
Yeah, I've seen something that they had an opening.
They
I
did.
thought,
I don't feel like I've
I
seen
haven't
anything.
seen
about it.
that yet, so I don't know whether that's would be suitable.
yeah, that was one of my, I would see it as one of the biggest challenges for BANA is meeting places. That not everything that we want to meet about is suitable for meeting at the Elks Club. They might let us have a pumpkin thing there. But the parking is okay for a little meeting like this, but if you want to invite people in, you run out of parking there. And it's not a totally festive atmosphere inside with all the portraits on the walls and, you know, things like that. So anyway, if we could find someplace else that would let us do it, I don't know, maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. But let's let's think about that. I don't know how much pumpkins cost. I imagine we could do that under our communications grant. I saw that pumpkins at Fred Meyer's were going for $6-7 a piece. So if you wanted a whole bunch of those, I mean, you could probably get the little ones for less, but if you wanted a whole bunch of big ones, you'd be in for a bit of money there. I unfortunately did not grow any in my garden this year. Gardening was a real challenge when we went from, freezing at night to 100-degree temperatures, and the next day or something was so hot and so dry all summer. Some years I've been able to grow pumpkins. Ashley, why don't we put that down as a follow-up, and maybe Brittany would be interested in participating. She likes that. She liked doing the annual picnic thing. So we can maybe get some help from her. So how about Jennifer? Can we touch base with you, Jennifer? Or are you busy at the moment? She's probably doing kid stuff. And how much do the paints cost for painting pumpkins?
I imagine they'd be pretty inexpensive. We could probably just get some cheaper paint from Michael's or something to, yeah. I
Okay,
guess we'll
Barb,
have to see how much interest there is, and then
Yeah.
and then that'll tell us how much it'll cost, I guess.
Barb, you got your hand up?
That big arts and crafts store on Third next to Macy's is one of the BANA businesses. So maybe,
Hobby Lobby?
yes, I couldn't think of their name. So if Brittany would approach them, maybe the whole thing could, everything could, they have some ideas. And the other new business is that birthday party business. So she's got her work cut out for you. There's some new businesses to reach out to that maybe could be part of our activities.
I would just like to say that Hobby Lobby has not a good reputation for supporting diversity, and that it also likes to steal artifacts from other countries. And it's been in court a number of times for stealing artifacts. And
then we go to Michael's because
I hadn't heard that. I knew about the other stuff, but I didn't know about the artifacts.
yeah, they're the ones that are building that new ark.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, someplace, not here, back east. But I would feel uncomfortable doing business with Hobby Lobby. I would prefer to go elsewhere. Just put that out there. I think we're supposed to be, and we work with the city, and the city wants to be inclusive. And I think unless we have a large number of people that come forth and say they don't want to be inclusive, that we should support inclusive businesses. But there are other places that have that. So we could check that out. And we can maybe even go to Target or Food for Less. They're in our neighborhood, and they might have pumpkins. Food for Less would probably have pumpkins of different sizes. So I think it's good to try to support businesses in our neighborhood. So let's get back to Barb with her hand up.
If I love the discussion of pumpkins, I don't want to interrupt that. There was something that came up last night, and maybe Megan might have a comment. And I just thought I would mention, it's kind of a strange situation. We are doing safety improvements on Mount Washington Drive that include a street light. And yesterday we had 4 people come to our meeting to testify, and we've gotten emails with people. One guy says he's got an attorney and he's going to sue us because they don't want the street light, because the street light's going to cause light pollution. And honestly, there's nothing at all unusual about any of that. That's kind of, the course of business for the city. Pretty much any, thing we do, there's probably going to be somebody on the other side saying,
Yep.
I hate roundabouts, or I don't want to, you know what I mean? So the reason I bring it up is the reason that streetlight is going in, the reason we're doing improvements in that intersection at this time is because of the neighborhood street safety program. That neighborhood recommended those improvements at that intersection. And so that's why I mention it. This is the first time that I know of where we've had any kind of conflict having to do with the street safety program. Until now, I just thought this thing is fantastic. People love it. It's giving people an opportunity to actually give feedback and see improvements in their own neighborhoods.
Mhm.
So at the meeting last night, the question was posed to council if we wanted to change the way that program works so that the improvement, the recommendations wouldn't necessarily come from the neighborhood associations. And there were a couple of counselors who said yes, that they would like to find a different way to prioritize those projects. Megan, are you still there? Are you with us, or I know you've got
I
kids.
am, yes. And
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was an interesting conversation. You know, my personal belief is that, you know, I saw how this was the effort that was undertaken by my neighborhood association. And I feel that no one knows these neighborhoods better than the neighborhood associations. So while I believe that the transportation bond committee should, you know, should be involved because obviously the money is coming out of the bond. I think it should still remain in the hands of the neighborhood associations personally.
Thank you, Megan. So do I. And Frank, you know, that's why I brought this to your attention, is to let you know that, you know, it sounds like because of that question last night, that yeah, there might be a point when we are asked to think about a different way again to prioritize those. So and I don't even know what the different way is. Nobody said, you know, I think it would be better if X, Y, or Z. So I agree with Megan. I really like the program. My impression has been it's just been really successful and people are really happy to have a way to actually get projects they care about on a list at the city, or, you know, in a few years. So it might be a couple of years, but you all know in terms of government, that might be a short amount of time. So thank you, Meg, and thanks for those comments. And that's really all I have to say. And certainly I will let you know if that discussion comes up. I would certainly hope that the neighborhood associations would have the chance to comment on whether they think the program needs to change.
As I remember it, it was a lot of work for us.
Yes.
It took up all of our time at several meetings.
It's a ton of work.
So much work.
And
So
yeah.
So the one thing that I said immediately after the first round of applications was that we should change the way those applications are happening, that the neighborhoods were doing so much work trying to identify projects and like solutions for problems. And so I have already made the comment to staff that maybe what we should have is the neighborhood identifies the problem area, but to have the neighborhood try and decide what the solution was, seems like that's where the time came in. You know, the neighborhood would say, we think we need a stop sign. And as engineers would come in and say, oh no, a stop sign's not right for that intersection. And it was just so much time for neighborhoods trying to learn to be traffic engineers and traffic planners. So that was one idea I had to just kind of simplify, but it would still very much be the neighborhood saying, it's this intersection, you know, this is where the danger spot is. Please do improvements there, without necessarily having to spend all that time on a proposal that professional staff are still liable to look at and say, it's just not the right solution for the intersection.
Right.
So if that makes sense, you know, that's
might
what
not even be legal to do something. Yeah, most of our, I think all of our issues went to the bottom of the list. And I don't think we've had any response to those original issues yet. We keep, you know, things get reprioritized and we go back down to the bottom. Well, that's not too surprising. I mean, our neighborhood is mostly not all that old. So, you know, 20, 30 years ago. Now, there are some issues where different parts came into the city and things don't mesh right. But compared to many of the other problems in the city, I don't see that we have a lot of traffic fatalities at many of the, things that issues, problem areas that we identified.
I would say the
But-
biggest issue is the on-ramp to 97 off Empire, but then they're about to change that with a corridor project anyway, so.
Right. There's
So hopefully that'll be
and, well,
solved.
and we did get some changes to that Empire, that where the bridge goes over and the left turn lane came into being, was the result of
Hmm.
who was our mayor, several mayors before Sally, and he ran a water company. Anyway.
Oh,
he
was that
at-
Casey?
Yeah, Casey Rhodes, he was at our meeting, and we had this woman who's a nun also came to our meeting. She came to some of our meetings for a number of years, and she stood up and she really had a bee in her bonnet over having to sit and wait in traffic to make the left turn. And after that, the left turn lane got way increased and extended. So, but a lot of the other stuff that goes on there, the conflict of traffic between Hooker Creek coming out on one side, people trying to turn left against all the traffic coming off of Third, and some other things. There's some close calls there. But yeah, all that's going to get reworked. So why complain about now? Go to the ODOT meetings and complain to them.
If you would like to send me an email with what your neighborhood street safety program projects were, I can check on those and see where they are on the queue and how things are going, if you'd like. Another neighborhood I serve with has had that same problem. Their request is for a crosswalk and a street light,
Well, yeah,
but on Reed Market Road.
Yeah.
And, because it's Reed Market, it's just a far more complicated project
right.
than a
Yeah.
residential street. So that one, I feel like I've had good communication with them and we know what's happening. And I think another of their projects just made it to the top of the list. But I would be happy to, because that was one of the questions I asked is, are we getting to the point where every neighborhood has had at least one project completed? And I thought we were going to try and prioritize with that in mind.
And I'll go back and look at all those, and maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
Maybe something did get done.
Okay.
The S curves on Boyd Acres, well, we knew that was really expensive, and
Yeah, but I can find out for you, Kathy. I can see
yeah.
if we do a little lobbying, see if, but because I think it's important that every neighborhood gets to participate, has a project that actually is completed, in addition to just prioritizing by this is the most important project. Do you know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
feel like that's
Well, when we had some of the same kind of discussions that you were having, somebody wanted streetlights put in along Boyd Acres from, I can't remember, mostly on the north part out to Cooley. And because there's no light in there anywhere. And then other people say, we don't want any lights that's, wrong headed, and we want it dark. And so
it's a hard thing. There's
Always
a streetlight-
opposition.
Yeah, there's a street light up in front of my house. I have no idea how it got there. It's in the middle of the block. There is no earthly reason. And yeah, when it's an eclipse or something, I'm, walking around my neighborhood trying to find that dark spot where I can see the sky.
maybe we could get the city to provide us with a map of that. Where are the dark spots?
Well, there you go. Yeah. that
Yeah.
might be it.
So, yeah, that was a few years ago, and that kind of fell out of our top priority items to discuss every meeting. We probably will pick it up again if there's a call for new projects, or when there might be a call for, should we look at our list and drop some? Should we look at our list and include
Yeah.
more? I think that usually happens in the springtime, late winter, springtime. something like that.
Oh, I have one more question too before we go for Barb. Are you participating in the camping code roundtable? Do you know who's doing that? You are.
Yeah.
So it's basically it's council members and then business owners, and is that right? It's just going to be kind of a talk between a few people.
We have 2 separate roundtables scheduled. The first has a very specific list of participants, and it's all of our advisory committees, including the Neighborhood Leadership Alliance.
Okay.
And then the second one is the list of participants. There are like 3 bullet points. And I just looked at that today and I'm like, oh, that could be hundreds of people.
That's
You
what I
know,
was wondering. Yeah.
right? It really does. That second one says things like business owners, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really, that second one, I'm not sure if we are specifically inviting folks like we are with that first meeting, or if it's a general invite to the population and whoever wants to participate. I'm sorry, I don't really know the answer to that right now, Ashley. Should have found out last night.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I was just wondering, making sure I like knew what it was.
So I will find out and I'll get that back to you.
Okay.
The address I have is for Boyd Acres. I think Kathy, you're the one who answers that email. If I send it to that.
boydacres@gmail.com.
Yeah, I have access to that one too.
Ashley,
Okay,
myself,
There you go.
and
Okay. I will find out. And
have access.
And if someone here would like an invitation, I will also find out how to do that.
I'd like to see you work that one into a new stadium for Bend, to where we
Oh,
can
yeah.
have larger meetings and better sports events. Well, we can't have a meeting about this until we build a new stadium.
And you know, honestly, the library bond, you know, that was something they are trying to achieve with a new central library, is a larger meeting space. Right now the library has the largest free public space, and it's 80 people. It's that Brooks room with 80 people.
Yeah,
Beyond that, you all probably know it's the Parks District, and the Parks District charges money for their meeting spaces. A lot of money, even if you're a nonprofit. That's something, you know, over the years, I've thought maybe we should put more pressure on them to have those meeting rooms available for a wider group of folks to not have to pay. Because they have spaces that'll hold hundreds of people, like at Larkspur, for example.
every time you ask for money, you're excluding a group of people, the people who don't have very much money.
Of course.
So,
No, of course. Yeah. I'm glad we're kind of talking about that. Maybe I'll see if I can,
yeah, sometime when an opportunity comes around and, oh, there we go. Right into that.
And the central library they haven't made any new progress, right? I haven't heard anything about it in a while.
Oh, I'm afraid not.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, for myself, that was a difficult decision. I really do. You know, I very much would just rather just leave it. They've got their own elected board. I don't have, you know, just not have things on my own plate. It was just that intersection of our planning processes with what they were trying to do. In general, yeah, I do. I think a new central library where they can do better materials handling. They do such a good job with all the libraries in the whole county sharing materials. So if you want something that's in Sisters, boy, they can get it for you the next day.
I've been very surprised by that. They get it over to wherever you want it very quickly. Yeah.
It's remarkable. And, you know, that really is, you know, the way to reach everyone is, you know, that kind of materials handling and digital access. And they need space for that. So, you know, I hope they find a location and a plan that works for everyone.
Yep, we were looking forward to meeting in their meeting rooms.
Me too. Honestly, yeah, me too.
Well, has everybody said what they wanted to say, needed to say?
I just have one question for Barb.
Mhm.
Somebody asked me the other day if the city was planning on buying property at First and Franklin to build a new city campus.
Mm.
Is there
Um,
truth to that?
Well, we are considering it, Joette. Real estate transactions, discussion about real estate happens in executive session. The law, whatever the law is, the law thinks that the public is better protected when the real estate market doesn't necessarily know that we're looking. The law thinks that if somebody knows, oh, it's the city trying to buy my property, that might, change the cost of things. So, but yes, word is on the street. Yeah, we are considering the Bend Central District as a location for a new city hall. And in between, frankly, it's all the way from Franklin to Greenwood, in between the Parkway and 3rd Street, anywhere in there. And yeah, we have seen some properties for sale right along Franklin there, Franklin and 1st, Franklin and 2nd.
So I have one other thing I just popped in my brain and I just read about it today. I'll try to send it out to everybody. ODOT, I think, sent this message out, and they're going to have some kind of open house out at Tumalo about the Highway 20 Cooley Road intersection. And it's not going to be a presentation. It's just going to be, they'll have stuff on display there and perhaps some people to answer questions. So some of that, much of that may be outside of our neighborhood, but will certainly influence our neighborhood, influence how people come into our neighborhood, probably influence how people come into the new Costco if that ends up going in. So if you have plus or minus feelings about that, that would be an opportunity to go there. I don't remember seeing anything about any of it being online, but probably they'll have stuff online for anybody who can't actually attend in person. I would just say that this whole Zoom environment that we've gotten used to because of the pandemic has actually opened up to the doors to a lot of people who can't necessarily reschedule their lives to be someplace in person, but they can, sign in at 11 o'clock at night and quickly review some materials. And I'm sure there's downsides to it, but Adam entered the waiting room. Yeah. Let's say hi to Adam.
Adam, for example. Yeah, every one of our council meetings, we have at least a couple of people that participate in public comment online, which I just think that's great to, like you said, have more people.
Reaching a few more people.
Yeah, do something like that without having to go downtown and park and where are the kids and all of that. It absolutely is changing the face of government, and I think for the better.
This is Adam still connecting to audio. There we go. Do you have video, Adam? There you are.
So I'm actually down in Florida in a really noisy environment, so I think I'm going to mute and listen in.
Okay, well, we are just about ready to wrap up the meeting. We started at 7. We're ending at 8.
Oh my.
Probably one of those time differential things. I missed a meeting completely the other day by going the wrong direction.
Oh shoot, that's right. It's 8 o'clock, isn't it? I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
No, don't be sorry. We're glad to see you. And I described a little bit of you taking on the treasurer position.
Oh, wow.
Which we're really glad that you're doing that. And what was going on money-wise, two things paid for: the Zoom account, so we could do this tonight, and the renting the post office box will deplete our funds. And then I think we're going to, we agreed to put some money in for the candidate forums that are coming up a little bit in the range of $30 to $50 maybe. So when we know an exact amount, I'll be sure that you're notified. Do you want to inform us of anything else going on in your world or in Boyd Acres that
Not at this point. I've got to meet up with somebody just to kind of go over all my duties and, hopefully get it all learned and move forward.
Yeah, it's not a lot of work. It's a couple of hours of work here or there. So yeah, you and I can get together and we can go over it. If we need to, we can contact our old treasurer on how
Okay.
she did it, which doesn't mean you have to do it like that, but you might get some insight.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. So is everybody ready for the next snowfall?
No.
Anybody else want that? It could happen anytime around here.
Oh,
No, I'm not ready.
I
So we
saw a
went
picture.
from summer to winter and I skipped fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can happen. Saw a picture today of the top of the Steens Mountain and the towers that they have up there were just covered in rime ice.
Wow.
So. and
Yeah, I
of course
can't
those-
wait. Want to go get some turns up on Bachelor.
All
Yeah.
right.
Well,
There's plenty of time for that.
they got to demob that whole fire up there because right now they're still camping out in the Bachelor parking lot and in all the snow parks, that Cedar Creek Fire Bunch. And they will probably have to go on having an ICP, an incident command post. Sorry, that's the old language I used to speak where everybody knew all those acronyms. I would guess November anyway, before we get enough rain, snow on the ground that they can have somebody not being there every day directing crews. Bachelor will probably won't let them stay much longer than that. So anyway, the smoke was in town today. My eyes are still burning from it. So I guess that's probably the wrap up we have.
Yeah,
And
right.
of course, the BANA email is doyleacres@gmail.com. Send a message to that and I'll be sure and get it. Or if you want to just send it to me, it's KathleenSRoach@gmail.com. And I want to say thanks to everybody for attending and send me your ideas or your goals for this coming year.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Good
Thank
to see
you.
you guys.
Take care.
thank you. Bye.